So it's been a bit again, and waiting for my pork to rest. As my pork is resting, my pork tenderloin, I opened up a Carpineto Chianti Classico Riserva 2016. I think that in a year of discoveries, this was a great discovery for me. I don't remember all my discoveries, but this was a good one, $25. I do believe at the Chianti Classico Riserva level, this is a good one. I think the Carpineto basic Chianti Classico is okay. For a few extra bucks, you get the Riserva. This is also a good vintage year, 2016. Pretty sure 15 and 16 were great years. 17 was a decent year. I don't know about 18, but so be it. Pretty good wine. I think absolutely for the money. And I think as I taste this wine, I wanted to talk a little bit more about some discoveries I've made recently, and maybe some discoveries that I've found in 2021 that have sort of crossed my mind. I think one of the biggest discoveries was a cab, and I keep calling it a Napa cab, but actually it's from Lake County, which is sort of north of Napa, north coast, and it's called Obsidian. I've talked about it numerous times, and the one I had was a 2017 vintage, which was great, which was like slightly less prolific vintage than, of course, 18 and what 19 is looking like, and some vintages prior, except 11. 11 was a vintage rated about 86. I think 2017 was rated like a 91, 92, where then you had the 18 rated like 99. Now, I talk about ratings not mattering when it comes to a specific wine, but sometimes vintages do sort of tell the story, especially if there's rain near harvest. The wines will be less dense, will be a little bit too watery, I feel like out of balance. That did not happen in 2018. I don't even think it happened in 2017, to be honest, but maybe some of the other conditions weren't great to give it, a 95 or above type of vintage rating for California Cabernet, specifically in Napa and Sonoma, and of course this is Lake County, which is a little bit different. Anyway, well, Obsidian is. I did find one of their higher end ones. There's another one called The Slope, and there's one a little higher end called Half Mile. I did find Half Mile. So Obsidian is about 31 to 33. The Obsidian base, I don't know what the Slope costs. I want to say 50, but I don't know. Haven't found it officially yet. But the Half Mile is about 70 to 80. So now you're paying a little bit more, but I'm absolutely going to get one. I found it 2019. I'll probably purchase one or two. One to open immediately because I just want to see it. Maybe I'll even buy an Obsidian 2017 and do it right next to it. Maybe I'll just Coravin both. Probably what I'll do is Coravin both. Or Coravin the 19 Half Mile, save the rest, and just open the Obsidian and enjoy it over a number of nights. I do believe Obsidian 2017 needs decanting. I think pop and pour, it's good. Decanted, it's, I think, amazing. And I don't even know what the rating is. I think the rating for it was like 87. Whatever. I don't think it's anywhere. I think it's far beyond that if I had to give it my own rating. Definitely in the 90s somewhere. But 4.5 out of 5 for me. And I use the Vivino sort of baseline score because I don't like the 100 point. It's a little too granular. I just like more of a generic, and like I've said numerous times since I've been doing these videos, I give 5 out of 5s all the time. If I think a wine hits the right place, the right price point, fits with the food, fits with the company, fits with the atmosphere, it gets 5. That's it. 4.5 is a great wine. It doesn't have to be the most amazing, mind-boggling thing in the world. So, whereas something like this this is a 4 out of 5, maybe even a 4.5 out of 5, depending. So, smells like Sangio, smells like Chianti. So it's got that black cherry, that slight bit of fennel, more like anise, yeah. The herbs, a little bit of leather. I love the nose of Sangiovese. It is highly an aromatic red grape and highly acidic and amazing with food. I've said it over and over again. I don't mind repeating myself when it comes to something like this that's just very food friendly. This one's wonderful. It's awesome. It's great acidity too, great body, great length. $25 is a great wine. This is a great wine for $25. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I'm feeling generous. I feel like it's earned it, especially in the price point. So absolutely loving it right now. So another discovery is a Greek producer out of Santorini. I've tried numerous Greek reds, and there's really only one Greek red that I really, really think is exceptional from Yerovasilio, and it's called Avaton, and it's a blend of 3 Greek red indigenous grapes, one being Mavro Dragano, one being Limnio, and I forget the third one. It's about a $50 bottle of wine. Very difficult to find. There's just not a lot of that wine, and especially in the $50 range for a Greek red to be out on a shelf somewhere. I'm probably going to try to special order 1 or 2 bottles again, just to have it again, because I really enjoy it. I do like to show it off sort of as a really good Greek red. It's not super, super dense, but there's nice tannin, there's nice structure. I believe it could even age a little bit. I don't want to overage it. When I had it relatively within 3 years of vintage, and I thought it was fantastic. And then I bought some, and it was fantastic. But I'm not talking about that. I found a new producer out of Santorini, and it's called Hatzidakis, and they specialize in some white wines, and they do have actually, ironically, they have a Mavro Dragano, a pure one. Well, pure meaning mostly 100%, almost 100%, I think, of that, and I will try to get that one as well. But specifically, they're known for these whites, and what they do differently with their whites, and it's 2 grapes. One's called Aidani, and they make an orange wine out of that. So extended skin contact white, where it almost gets a color of orange, and it's a white wine with sort of a tannin. And I talked about it. I've only had a few. I definitely will be exploring more of them this year, just for how eccentric they are and how complex they can be. And I really want to pair them with some food and just see how they do with some food, seafood, sushi, things like that. I think with uni they might be really cool, but reserve it till I try it that way. They have one with that indigenous Greek white called Aidani, something like that. Definitely want to try that. Then they make some with the Arsitico grape, and that's a very highly acidic white wine, a white grape made mostly in Greece and mostly in Santorini, where some of the best ones are made. I like it. I do. I need it with food. It's a very difficult wine to drink on its own because it's so acidic. I like acid, but this is super high acid. Not just high acid. I feel like it's really at the top level of an acidic white wine. So very, very crisp. And they make them in a style that's slightly fuller and bolder by aging them on their lees, on the yeast cells a little longer, the dead yeast cells, or in barrel, or they even make one that's, I think, Amarone style-ish in a sense. Not actually, it's probably not Amarone style. It's more not opposite of reductive. So they introduce a little bit of oxygen, so maybe a little oxidative. I'm not sure if there's a different term for that, I forget. But they add a little bit more oxygen to wine, gets sort of a deeper gold color. I suspect it'll be like the Vin Jaune I had, but I'm not sure. So interested in finding that one. That one I have not found anywhere for sale. Some of the others I have. There's a Familia, which is an Arsitico aged on the lees. There's one in barrel, and I think there's another, the Baseline, which I would like to try that as well. I don't know. I read that it's a very small cult type of winery out of Santorini. I'm surprised I've never heard of it before, probably because it's so small. I think they only import about 300 cases a year to the United States, which is minuscule. Now, there's not a ton of Greek wine being bought, but if there is, it's mostly white, mostly Arsitico. Domaine Sigalas is one of my favorite producers out of Santorini. They make a great Arsitico, but again, very, very acidic. Fantastic in the summer with a grilled fish. I think that's where it absolutely shines, with the lemon. So fish, with fresh fish grilled with lemon, and that wine is a nice pairing. That's where it tempers down. That acidity works with the lemon and is just nice. On its own, a little tougher. Definitely want it with some cheese or something that'll pare down that acidity. Either way, so Hatzidakis is this other winery that I want to explore relatively soon. I did not do the J.J. Buckley end of year sale like I normally do. I decided instead that soon, within a month or two, I'm going to make a big order at a Laurenti and buy mostly Italian wine to Rossi's, Sforzato, Valtellina's. What else? Montecino d'Abruzzo. I forget. There's a few others on my list. There's also a producer in Gigondas that I might, if depends which ones they have. There's also a producer in some more Loire that makes some really high-end Cab Franc. So it's another thing I've sort of learned a little bit is there might be some better, higher expressions of Cab Franc, some single vineyard Cab Franc out of the Loire. So not out of Chinon, which is typically where you'll get a lot of them. And Chinon's got some great ones, but I've never explored some of the other areas, and I want to find maybe a slightly more bold expression of Cab Franc, but it's still being Cab Franc and not sort of masquerading as a Cab Sauvignon. But we shall see. I found a good producer, Jomain Giberdeau. Now, of course, I'm forgetting the name, but they also have some of those at Laurenti, and I'll probably make some type of order relatively soon and add some of those in there as well. I do want to get up to Amonte Vino. They had some wines there that I absolutely loved, and I would love to go back up there, just explore the store again, buy some of the ones that I really enjoyed last time. They have a 1998 Sauvignon there that, you know, finding a wine that is that old on a shelf is near impossible. So that Chenin Blanc out of the Loire, also from Sauvignon, great wine, love to have it. So we'll see if I can go up there sometime soon, and we'll see. There's a number of trips and wines I'd like to get in the next 3 to 6 months, and we'll see what sort of happens. And I think that is enough time on this video. I'm going to go enjoy my pork. I'm going to go enjoy it with this Chianti. Like I said, this is a great $25 one. I think I want to make a few more videos this year where I do some tastings and some recommendations. And I think those videos I could sort of put out to friends, family, and say, hey, you know, I'm always asked oftentimes, you know, what are you drinking or what wines in this price point are good? I've been recommending wine of substance, CS, Charles Smith, Cab Sauv. It's about $15 Washington red Cab, and I think for the price, that wine's tough to beat. It's very drinkable, it's good, and for the price point, it's really unbeatable. You're not going to get a better Cab Sauv out of Napa for that price, no way, but Washington's doing it pretty well. Charles Smith's an absolutely legit winemaker. He's got wines that range from that level all the way to hundreds of dollars. I haven't had a lot of those. I'd like to try some $50, $60 ones of his. He does specializes in Syrah and Cab Sauv, a lot of things out of Washington State. And I do love Washington State. I mean, speaking of Washington State, I would love to get some more reds. I think a misnomer is that Washington State is it's further north, it's cooler, it's actually can be warmer. There's actually some desert-like conditions up there. The wines can even be more concentrated, more Bordeaux-esque, and almost Washington reds and the red blends and cabs to me is like mostly Napa Sonoma-ish with like a flair of Bordeaux to them, which makes them very alluring. When I had the pirouette that Philip Melka, the winemaker that goes around and consults out of Washington State, I loved it. I bought a case of it. It was so good, and it was in the 40s or something. I think I only have one left. I'm really upset I only have one left, but it was so good, and it reminded me of Bordeaux, but in a luscious style that I just couldn't stop drinking it. It was just that good, that delicious, but that complex too. Extremely good. One of the better wines I've had in that price point in the last 2 years, let's say. But gosh, I'm all over the place today. Anyway, 14 minutes in, time to eat. Have a good night.